Dr. Lingasamy completed his Bachelor of Engineering in ECE and Master of Engineering in Communication Systems from Anna University, Chennai, India. He has obtained his PhD degree in the field of antenna design and testing from SSN College of Engineering under Anna University. He has 4 years of industrial experience in base station erection, implementation, and maintenance in IGTL, Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, prior to his PG program. He has published 7 research articles in reputed international journals, including IEEE Antennas and Propagation magazine, and several papers in international conferences. He is currently with HCL Technologies as tech lead of RF conformance tests, and he is going to deliver a lecture on electromagnetic interference and electromagnetic compatibility, which is our 7th module, okay, in our subject. Okay, now let me welcome Dr. Lingasamy sir. Lingasamy sir, thank you sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and to be the guest for delivering this lecture. We are very thankful to you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks very much for the nice introduction. And let me share my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Sir, can you see my screen?
Not yet, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Henry, sir, and for the opportunity to deliver, to share my thoughts on this EMIMC. And so I hope everyone is doing good at your home and during this pandemic time. So I hope everything will come soon, with the grace of God. So let's talk, start with this, topic like EMIMC walkthrough. So we are going to scan some of the fundamental, some of the concepts, and some of the sources of EMI and how it is being tested, how who are the standardizing body, and how it is simulated. So those are all things we are going to see to the best extent possible. Okay. So these are my outline of my presentation. Like we'll start with the introduction of EMIMC and right from the definition and how it is occurring and all that, and some of the source and types of EMI and how the coupling is happening between one medium to the another medium and one wire to the between two source and the receptor, and who are all standardizing bodies, some of the standardizing bodies of EMIMC, and some of the simulation and testing and testing setups we are going to see extensively, and some of the mitigation techniques. So according to your syllabus, it is shielding and grounding. So though we have a bonding and many more are there, connectors and other things are there, but we are going to see only 2 things like grounding and shielding. Okay, and followed by we conclude with the followed by concluding comments. Okay. Now before we move on, EMI-EMC, electromagnetic interference and electromagnetic compatibility. So what does it mean? Where do we have seen this kind of thing? So the thing is that, see, you might have experienced in your home itself that when you bring your mobile, when a call comes, right? So olden days, the TV will start flickering, and when your mobile is ringing, that time what happens is when you're talking on the local landline telephone, you will feel you will feel some of the crosstalk is going on, right? So those are all intentionally or unintentionally it is creating a problem to the other communication. So those are all called as EMI issues. Okay, and for example, you might have experienced this also. For example, when you're starting your bike, if your TV is nearby that, then you can see the flickering in your TV. So those are all kind of EMI EMCs. So why we have to study this as a being an electronics and communication engineer, because so nowadays you could see that in your hand the world is there, right, in the form of mobile, right? So that mobile you could see, let's talk for 2 minutes on this. For example, let us take one example of mobile. Okay, in that mobile earlier we used to only talk. In our days, right, we can only talk, that's all. Then later SMS came, and internet came, then video calling facility came, and high speed internet came, and voice over LTE call, voice over IP calls, and now in many more things are going to come. So this means hardware complexity also directly proportional, right? So that many antennas are required, that many RF modules are required, that many processing units are required, that much processor capacity is required. So hence, so the risk is also there, because all the components will not behave as expected, because it is in a complex environment, right? So when you co-locate many components together, then what happens is it will it may it is there is a chance that it may misbehave, because it will do it has given some task, but it will not do that. It will do along with some other some other unwanted tasks it will do. Okay, and in a classroom itself, you could have seen that you could have experienced, right? So when someone is talking, for example, staff is delivering the lecture to the students. Okay, when someone else when keep on talking, then will you able to listen to that? No, because it is a kind of interference we are getting. That's why the communication is not happening between the intended transmitter and the intended receiver. So that is why the EMI EMC is very important. So why this was when it was taken considered is that during World War II and before that also. So during World War II, what was happened is that the radar was creating some some kind of unintentional interferences. Hence, what happened is that they triggered a fighter jet, like bombing jet, to bomb in somewhere else. Okay, but what happens is it came back and put bomb there, in the origin itself. So those kind of scenario happened, and one ship, warship, or some ship have been lost in UK because of this interference. Because ship was used to guide from the it will get the guidance from the earth station, or you can say that the station which is available at for example Chennai, or so it will be guided through that only, because it will not it will have, though it will have a GPS, but it will be guided through that. So what happened is that time it got interfered by other signal, so the ship captain followed that path, and it went lost. It is completely lost. So then they thought that okay, there is something else is happening in the equipments. So other than intentional operation, there are some other operations are happening. Henry sir, are you recording this?
Yes, sir. Yes, I am recording.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you. Okay, so some other things are happening. So hence, so we have to look at that issue. What is happening exactly? So whenever for example, when equipment is deployed for some purpose, whether it is doing only that purpose or more than that, whether it is doing more than that. So then they started exploring that. Then they found several issues, several unwanted signals are coming up. You could have studied in, I think you will be studying in the next upcoming semesters, like harmonics you used to study, you will be studying, and many more noises. So many noises you will be studying. So many things are there that may causes the system to perform unwanted things. Okay, so with this introduction, we will start with the things like for example, some of the scenarios definition we will start. Okay, so what is EMI? It is also called as radio frequency interference. So electromagnetic emission from a device, or it can be a system, or it can be a complete block, or it can be an aeroplane or anything that interfere with the normal operation of the another device. That's what I was telling. So when a staff is taking lecture in real-time example, okay, so taking lecture. So when many students are talking with each other or some other, then what happens? It will disturb the lecture. because you will those people who want to really listen to the lecture, they may not be able to listen because that is due to the interferences, right? Similarly, in in RF environment also it will happen. So this is called as electromagnetic interference. Okay, and next concept is that electromagnetic susceptibility. Okay, so there are interferences are there. So your equipment is going to work in that particular environment only, because there are interferences, intentional, unintentional. You will see so many things. So your equipment has to work in that comfortably, because you cannot say that no, there are number of interferences are there, my equipment will not work. My equipment will work in only controlled environment. Then your equipment will be your design will be rejected. Okay, so you have to accept the environment where you will find several kind of interferences, so many noises and other things. So your design should be such a way that it should be susceptible to that particular interference to certain extent, not the to fullest extent. Okay, it has to be certain extent, otherwise your equipment will burn. Okay, your equipment may burst. Okay, so that is called as, so that another definition called ability of the equipment or a system to function satisfactorily in the electromagnetic environment without introducing intolerable electromagnetic disturbance to the anything in the environment. Okay, so you should be susceptible to certain extent, but also with that you are assimilating those interferences, then you should not start creating another problem to the another environment. Okay, so that's why electromagnetic compatibility is also an equivalent concept that we study. Okay, so on the whole, so not to generate more than the specified amount of interference, you mean to say that for example, even an intentional band also, for example, your equipment is have to radiate in particular, for example 2 to 4 gigahertz. Okay, with a certain power level, for example 20 dBm, 23 dBm power level, but you should not radiate more than that. That also interference, because it will cause interference to the other system. Next is that tolerate to a specified degree of interference. You should not keep on assimilating these interferences. Then what happens is that your whole system will not work, do the job that is given to them. Okay, next is that be self-compatible, right? So you should be self-compatible, because you are assimilating things, and you have to be compatible because by doing some kind of mitigation techniques, internal mitigation techniques, so that it can be, this equipment can be used worldwide or any environment. Okay, now these are all the scenarios. Okay, that's scenarios where we can see interferences, right? So one second. Okay, you can see that, there is a power line is going on. Okay, so there are a number of radar antennas available in the cities. Okay, some mobile towers are there, and telecommunication equipment are there. In your home also you have a TV antenna, and you can see that microwave relay link. So many links are there. So all are in open environment, right? So it will keep on doing that, some kind of communication between some intentional receptor. But so what happens is, when it hit on the, for example, power transmission line, so if the wavelength of the signal is comparable to this power transmission line wavelength, then what happens is it will start conducting. Okay, it will start resonating, you can say. That you will be, this term you will be studying in upcoming semesters. Okay, so what happens is that, so these are all it can cause interference to the each other. Okay, and you might have seen that FM tower, right? So this we have faced several times when I was working in the telecommunication base station implementation work. That time what happens is that, two micro antennas you might have seen in the tower, there will be round antenna. Okay, that is called as micro antenna, microwave transmission links, right? So in Bangalore we found one scenario that after 5 o'clock the link get down. What happened? So we checked cable, everything, no success. Okay, then finally we saw that when we looked at the environment, so that after 5 o'clock in factory they were that extinguishing, or their or releasing the what you call some kind of noisy. For example, it was a mill, it was emitting something. So due to that, this link got down. And so second problem is that the power line is, it will because it's a conductor, because if it has some kind of discontinuity, then when a signal get into that, then if it is comparable to wavelength, then it will start resonating. So due to which we can, attenuation of signals and a blockage of communication, many things can happen in the real time, radiating environment. And similarly, you can see that lightning can, cause the power go down, and you can, harm your device also, and many things are there. Okay, and these are all the, even more scenarios like, satellite communication, and you have flights, fighter jets, and for example, your so many, for example, so many forces are. These are all, it is specific to the battleground, right? For example, it is specific to the armed forces, right? So when they are there, if any interference comes, right, they cannot, trigger, for example, anti-missile radar, anti-missile radar, and they cannot trigger, because it can get diverted, and they cannot find out, enemy radar, enemy antenna, enemy bombing jet or anything else. Okay, so this is the scenario specific to the armed forces. And you can see that, in your system itself, you'll have power line cables, signal cables, all going together to the system. So what happens is it can talk each other also. Okay, so you have a signal lines and power lines, so it can cause, harm to the others, but it should be a certain limit. So that the standardization body have derived it. Okay, and this flickering signal of TV, you could have seen in your home if you are using olden TVs, not the new TVs, but new TVs much better. Okay, and now, so being an easy engineer, I thought of putting one slide on, RF system. So because, we are all easy graduates, right? So RF, so we have, RF front end system in any module. For example, in your mobile, or it can be in base station or node B or anywhere, you will see RF front ends. Okay, so that really causes the, help us to radiate from one place to another place, right? So in RF system, you will have baseband processor, which contains, from the application layer, you will get the data, and you will convert it to certain formats, and then it will be converted into in phase and our quadrature phase modulation. Then so far we have a digital data that will be converted to the analog data. Okay, analog signals, and it will be filtered out. Then you will have a mixers and up conversion, down conversion, many things will happen. Okay, then image rejection filter, then finally, power amplifier, then you will have a duplexer, then directional coupler, then it will go to the TX output, and then it will go to the channel. Okay, so you can see that, this is, I am giving, very minimal components, right? Very minimal and high level design. Okay, it will be like this. Okay, think that, see, you can see that how many equipments are there, how many components are there, how many band it has to support, how many frequency it has to operate, how much power it has to, operate in each frequency bands. So because you can see that, see, filter is there. It's all after all RF component, right? It will have obviously have a harmonics, unwanted emissions, intermodulation products, and spurious emission, and many emissions are happening. It will happen. Okay, so these terms are maybe quite new to you, but emission. I think I can see that you can understand the emission at least. Okay, so these many components are there. Similarly, in the same system, you will have a receiver also receiver chain. In receiver chain, you will have RX inputs. Signals are coming into your device, your mobile. Let's say your mobile. Then it will go to the directional coupler, and it will go to the switch, and then low noise amplifier, image rejection filter, and then down conversion. Then it process it, and then analog to digital converter. Then it will go to the baseband processor. So you could see that. So this is a very basic model, right? So apart from that, so many things are there, right? Coding, pre-coding, and error check, and convolution coding, and OFDMA, multiple access, several things are there. So I have not put here. So these many components are there. Think that being an electronics communication engineer, you should think that, because see, these many components are there. how it is packed together in your comfortable, you could see that in your mobile, maybe 21 inch, sorry, 5 centimeter or 10 centimeter, like that. So how it, they integrated all the components here. So you could see that such a complex environment. Okay. So similar, this will be like this. Okay, you can see that RFIC. This is how your mobile will look like, and the internal modules of a mobile will be looking like this. Okay. Similarly, you can see that these are all the some of the boards. That is in the either in base station or node B or anywhere else. You can see that. So how many components are there? So you can imagine how it function, because it has to it will see so many components surrounded by that. Then how it will function? Obviously there will be some of the EMC issues. Okay. And now consolidating this, okay, you have a system or device or environment that generate interferences, okay, intentionally or unintentionally. Okay, so environment, why I say it's a nature is you can see that sky is a good transmission line. So nature has so many frequencies, so many module particles, so many dielectric particles, so many metal particles, so many things are there nature has. So that, for example, sunlight is falling on some material, that it can create some harmful radiation also. Okay, so that's why I'm saying environment. Okay, you will have a victim. Who is victim? Who is the device that is working under that interference condition? Okay, he is the victim. It can be system or device, environment. Again, why I'm saying environment, because your device, for example, you are deploying your device in the, for example, in-house, for example, IoT device in your house. Okay, so that should not radiate too much harmful radiation. Okay, so then who will be the victim? Your house is the victim. Okay, who are all living in the house will be the victim. Okay, you will have a coupling path. So so coupling path, will it be either conduct? There are numerous coupling paths that we'll see later, but we will see overall view. One is conducted. Okay, it can be through power lines or signal lines. Just before we saw that. And the second thing is that radiated mode, which is magnetic waves or electric waves or plane waves or TM electromagnetic waves. Okay, it can be in both the forms. Okay, so next is that. So how do we mitigate that? So though we will see in detail later, but we will see briefly mitigation, how we will mitigate in these issues. Reduce the interference levels generated by the culprit or source. You might have heard in this issue in the Delhi that several pregnant ladies got abortion because of this heavy radiation. Then DOT jump onto the action, and then they said that you have to reduce the power level this much. So if you want to radiate, if you want to put tower, they have to get they put so many stringent condition because of that only. Okay, then you can see that so many other things are there: advanced local filtering, selection of frequency, operating frequency. So and then selection of operating frequency, I can say that they will select accordingly only. So when you don't have much interference, then only they will select that particular frequency, and alter signal routing and frequency dithering, and reduce the signal levels of the particular for example, if you are finding that this could be the EMIM unwanted emission, then you can suppress that. Grounding and shielding that we are going to see. Similarly, for in victim, what we can do? So this is for the source point of view. In victim, what we can do? Again, same thing applies here also. Most of the same thing, because local filtering, we can filter the noises, and then operating frequency selection, and after we can alter the signal routing that in PCB level they do. Okay, and grounding and shielding. Okay, in coupling path, what we can do? So increase the separation. That is the only option, easy option, but that will not work out many places, because now we are going in a compact environment, right? Compact device, compact everything I want, but I should have a compact device. So you cannot that first is ruled out. Next is shielding also to certain extent you can do, because after a certain point of time, shielding also will be prone to the EMI interference. Okay, and reduce no interconnection vias in number of interconnection vias, because when you go for for example, in your laptop, it will be nowadays it is be multi-layer PCBs are there, so many interconnects will be there, vias will be there. and filter interconnection. So many interconnection will be there. Okay. So this is how it will look like. Okay. Now again, is there any other method? Yes, it is combination of all these three, because obviously, practical environment, they do a combination of all three. Okay. And now we'll see what will be the consequence of this EMI EMC issue. Minor are there, for example, AM FM radio is there. When you for example, when you see that, so same place, you can listen to the FM, you may be listening FM properly. After some time, if you see that something is, some interference comes, then you will feel that some kind of noise. Okay. And cell phone interferences, because you might have seen that several times, you might have experienced that so many crosstalks will come. Somebody will call you, your father will call you, but somebody else will talk. So due to the crosstalk. Okay. And revenue loss. So in terms of, for example, critical communication, so some communications are happening due to the interferences. What happens if it interrupt? What happens? It will cause the revenue loss to the owner. And for example, automated monetary transactions. I think it happened in somewhere in India or some other country. What happens is that, so ATM got distracted. That's why they used to say that when you enter into the ATM, they say that please do not use your mobile phone, because it can cause interference to the ATM machine. So what happens is, you are entering something, it is whatever money comes out of it will be different. So that's why they used to say that don't, because it can interfere. And in your flight also, when you get on board, then they will say please switch off your mobile or put in flight mode. Okay, why are they are saying? Because while taking off or landing, it will keep on it will get the information from the ground station, then it may get interfered. Okay. I think in Mangalore there was one flight crash happened. One of my good friend got lost his life. So that was due to the somebody could switch on the phone, and it caused the issue. Okay. And the loss of life, injury, because for example, radar landing system interruption. For example, if interference happens when a flight landing, okay, what happens? It is the life of so many lives are there in the, for example, 300 passenger, 500 passenger, 200 passenger. So that life is will become critical. And ordnance firing. This is what happened in the military applications, and improper deployment of airbags. You would have seen so many issues when they recall the cars and all, because of the airbag malfunction, because of the interferences. Because nowadays cars are coming with the smarter systems. They have a PCB boards inside, so all will function. All put together. Now cars are coming with the smarter cars, because mechanical, partly mechanical, partly electrical, partly electronics. So several things, boards are there. So if it malfunction, what happens is it will the entire control will be controlled by some motherboards. So if it malfunction, then what happens is your cruise control or airbag control will be lost. Okay. So that's why standardization body evolved. Okay, several standardization body like FCC, IEN, European Union, and US people, and signed military standards. Several standards came up, and then they said that yeah, we have to set the limit for all emissions. For example, conducted emission, RE emission, conductor susceptibility, radiator susceptibility. You might please turn your laptop. Behind that, you could see that RE marking, CE marking, like that. It will be there. FCC will be there. Okay. What does that mean? So that laptop is comply to the standards. So that's why they put that marking. They will not just put a sticker. Okay. So that will if it is your laptop or a device is compliant to the respective standard, then they will put that sticker. For example, CE marking you could see, RE marking you could see, and CS, and FCC. Several markings will be there behind your laptop or in mobile. If you could, if you want, you can see after some time. Now we'll jump into the topic like sources of EMI. Now there are a number of sources are there. Okay. One is natural. Okay. Another one is man-made. Okay. So natural, it is a broadband in nature, because we can't predict. It will be a broadband in nature, because we can't predict the particular frequency. Because I cannot predict that. Say that this frequency only we will get the noises. No, it will be of any frequency, because due to the climatic condition, due to the environment, due to the position of your orbit, your Earth orbit, and sunlight, and many things are there. Okay, so that's why it is broadband incoherent. Incoherent means what? There will not be any consistency. Okay, so you cannot predict the amplitude, phase, or frequency of the upcoming signal. Okay, based on from the current signal, you cannot predict the upcoming signal. So that is incoherent. Okay, and radiated. It will always be radiated because from the environment where we have a conductor, we don't have conductor, right? That's why it is radiated mode. Next is it is unintentional because it is coming from the environment, so it is obviously unintentional. But in man-made we have a narrow band and broadband because we have a system operating in narrow band, operating in broadband, right? So in each in narrow band, most of them will be coherent because you are having very narrow band of signals. So with that signal, by analyzing the current signal, you can predict the future amplitude and phase and amplitude of the particular EMS signal. So that is why it is coherent. Okay, and under this we have conducted and radiated also because as I mentioned before that you have a power line, and the signal lines are there. So that through which the conductor emissions are happening, and radiated means external environment, external equipments from the equipments is radiated. Okay. So in conductor also we have intentional, unintentional. Okay. So for example, something or maybe intentional because for example due to the improper design of your system, some might be unintentional, though you took much care during the design, but still it radiates something, so unintentional. Okay. Next is in under radiator mode we have another one called restricted. Okay. So in conductor means you are connected the wire, there is a wired connection between your transmitter and receiver. Okay, source and the victim. Okay, so it will not harm the equipment that are in the surrounding environment. But when you consider radiated emission, what happens is there is another called restricted. Why restricted? Because see, for example, you are using some equipment nearby you. There may be a air force station, there may be a military armed forces are doing some practices, or some kind of fighter jet practices and all. So it will that's why they used to say that whenever you design any FM radiator, they will so if you are transmitting in some particular licensed band, restricted band, then they will say immediately come to you, please do not operate in this frequency range with this power level because it is disturbing our system. There is a restriction is there. So if you keep on operating, you cannot operate arbitrarily. Okay, so then they will come and shout on you, and they can put you in jail also. Okay. And broadband, coherent and incoherent. Okay, so here broadband, because some signals may be predicted. Okay, some may not be predicted because we are operating in broadband, means noises are operating in broadband in nature. So that's why we have both. In coherent we have conducted and radiated, and here also we have conducted and radiated. So similarly we have intentional, unintentional, restricted are there in this case also. Okay, now okay, we found that okay, these are all those are the EMI sources, right? Who are the receptors? For example, natural. Who are the nature? Man, ours, and animals and plants. Okay, natural. Okay, natural. So it can get affected. For example, when lightning happens, you could have seen read in the newspaper that so many banana trees or coconut trees completely burned, or it lost its thing. Okay. Next is man-made. Okay, so man-made means, if, for example, the one that we make. Okay, communication electron receivers, broadcast navigation radar, and many more. Okay, I have video, audio, FM radio, audio, TV, and everything. You can say consumer electronics, IoT things, everything you can say. Okay, now we'll see. We'll jump onto the another topic, like coupling between transmission lines and external EM field. So so how we already seen that how it is coupling is happening through conducted mode or radiated mode, but now we will see some in detail, right? So now there are several coupling mechanisms are available. You can see that the conducted emission through, for example, through cable line, power cable or signal cable, and radiated cable, this system will radiate some kind of unintentional intentional radiation that can affect this the cable. Then therefore again it will trigger another form of conducted emission. Okay, so you can say this system can harm this system, and this system, peripherals, this cable may harm this cable because of the radiated emission. And conducted emission is through wire. So this radiated emission again in turn will create a problem, create another additional conducted emissions. Okay, these are all some of the scenario coupling mechanisms, right? Now, to consolidate, to sum up, you have a source, victim. What are all coupling paths? Okay, one is it can be direct. It is obviously conducted mode. Okay, in radiated mode we have two kind of things. One is near field coupling. Another one is radiated coupling. Okay, so conducted mode only one thing, which is direct coupling. Okay, and in radiated mode, radiated coupling, or in radiated emission, we have two kind of coupling. One is near field coupling, another one is radiated coupling. Now let's see one by one. Okay, now coupling between transmission lines. Okay, so it can be via between transmission lines, or transmission lines. So coupling via power or signal lines. Okay, one possibility is that it can couple via power line, or it can couple via signal lines. Another is that common impedance coupling. What does it mean? Common, because you will have in your board, you will have a ground, right? So some for example, you can see that so you have a board. Okay, you have a ground here. Some equipment is connected, some equipment is connected here. Okay, so this is shorted here, and this is also grounded here. Okay, this equipment is working perfectly. Okay, working fine, but this equipment has some problem. Okay, so though this equipment is not directly connected from this, but what happens is it is having some common connections, right? So if it causes any interference, then it will be coupled together. Come over here, then it will get coupled here. Okay, so that is called as common impedance coupling. Okay, so you can see that coupling via signal line, power line. You could see that source, source and a victim through power line or signal lines, it is getting coupled. Next is common impedance coupling. You can see that so both are connected, kind of switches here. So one causes noise, then what happens is it will be coupled via this kind of connections. Okay, this is what is called as common impedance coupling. Now we'll see how coupling between transmission lines and external EM field. So near field coupling, that is called as near field coupling. Okay, so here we have magnetic or inductive coupling, or the second one is that electric or capacitive coupling. You could have studied in your EM3 if you have done. Magnetic means corresponds to coils, right? Coils only create magnetic field, so that's why it is called as inductive coupling. Electric coupling, because capacitor will have two plates separated by certain dielectric. So one will be a positive polar and another will be a negative terminal. So you will have electric field intensity. So that's why it is called as electric coupling, equivalent to the capacitive coupling. Okay. Now we'll see electric or capacitive coupling, which means, so in principle, you could have studied, I think, electromagnetics or physics also is fine. You have a conductor, you have another conductor. It is separated by some distance, right? Some distance. Okay. So if this is filled with the air gap, still fine. So this will act as a capacitor. If it is filled with some kind of moisture or some kind of dielectric dust, okay, then it will be a perfect capacitor. So hence the coupling can happen. For example, this line is separated. This line do not have any connection with this line, but still there will be a capacitive coupling, because it can be a conductor and it is another conductor. It is separated by some kind of spacing. So where, for example, it can be a air gap, or it can be due to some dust, or some kind of dust or moisture is coming down, then it will get. So most of the time you could see that power shutdown will happen, because rainy time power shutdown will happen, and short circuit also will happen. Why? Because some raindrops are happening exactly in between the cables, right? Two transmission lines or power transmission lines are going on, and when heavy rain falls, what happens? it will act as a capacitor. Then the one from coupling from one wire to the other wire happens, so that the fuse it will be there will be a fuse will be broken. Then the power shutdown happens. Okay, that is the same principle. Okay. Next is inductive coupling. So inductive coupling means, so just now we saw that, okay, it's a capacitive coupling. Sorry, it's a capacitive coupling. Here inductive coupling means, see, Ampere's law says that when you have a current flow in the wire, there will be a magnetic field, right? There will be a magnetic field, right? So that same principle we applies here. Okay, we will have, for example, when a current flows through this wire and this wire, what happens is there will be a magnetic field here, and here, similarly here also. So this field can couple together and form a interferences. Okay, so that's why you could see that it's Ampere's law basically work out here. Okay, and so this is how it will the magnetic or inductive coupling happens. Now let's jump into the third one, right? Radiated coupling. Radiated coupling. Radiated coupling means, see, I think we saw in the 2 slides ago that for example, when it can be applied to near, whatever I am saying now, it may apply to near field as well as the radiated coupling. Some wires are going on. Okay, some wires are laid down. Signal, let's consider this as a signal line. Okay, here some frequency I'm operating and I'm sending some signals from this some signal generator. Okay, so this will form, for example, if some currents are flowing through this line, then it will form a magnetic field. Okay, so if it is intensive, what happens? It will start radiating. Okay, how it happens? Change in magnetic field will create change in electric field. Again, change in electric field will create change in magnetic field. So this will keeps on going on. It will keep on going. Then, so as per Maxwell's equation, what happens is, so the wave will propagate, okay, to certain distance. So that's why radiated coupling can happen from any device or any wires or anything. Okay, so this is how radiation happens. Okay, it can be a field generation, which means this is what is I am mentioning about field generation or wave impedance. So when you have for example, if you are not design your device not perfectly matched, then what happens is it will for example reflect so many signals. Standing waves happens, so that standing waves in turn generate the radiation. So that's why, okay, so you have a radiating element and you have a direction of, so if this see radiation, this is a general radiation mechanism. So you have a radiating element and it is the direction of propagation. This is the free space wave impedance. Okay, so when it matches with the, see, this radiation, when it matches with the free space wave impedance, which is 120 pi or 377 ohm, then what happens is it start radiating in the environment. Okay, so that's why we have to be very careful while designing any component. Okay, now let's jump on to the EMI types. I think we have seen already, but we'll see some more details. Okay, one is basically conducted emission, radiated emission. This we have seen already. You can see that you have a source, and you have a receiver. So you have a capacitive coupling, inductive coupling. Okay, inductive coupling, or through some unintentional. So this source can act as a some kind of resonant antenna or broadband antenna, and it will start radiating. So why I'm saying antenna? For example, if you have a piece of wire, right? Piece of wire, and if you match that with the, for example, to certain frequency, it will start receiving. Okay, you can have some piece of wire. Okay, if it can be a monopole or a dipole. Okay, and a piece of wire, if you match, if you have if you add some balloons or loading, then you connect the connector. Then you connect that particular wire, with the connector to the spectrum analyzer, you will see some kind of signals. Okay, so similarly, you can keep your piece of wire with a certain connector connected, and then in some place, then you can see that how it is. You can you can send some signal to through that piece of wire. Okay, so you can see that whole spectrum of thing through spectrum analyzer. Through spectrum analyzer, you will get intentional and also the unintentional signals. Some kind of spikes you will get. Okay, and why I'm saying source as the you can consider as an antenna. Okay, so why I'm antenna? Because it is radiating. That's why the term called antenna is used here. Okay, so your device, a part of device or the whole system, whole device or a part of the device or part of the module, okay, is acting as a radiator. Okay, that is how I'm called as it can act as an antenna to radiate unwanted harmful emissions. Okay, now you can see that this way I've already seen. So emissions, immunity, you can see that radiator can be electromagnetic, magnetic, power leads, conductor. We have power leads, control leads, and signal leads, and many things are there. Okay, so these are all the things. Now, so apart from EMI, EMC, apart from conducted emission, radiated emission, we have one concept called, another parameter called electrostatic discharge. Okay, so how does it happen? When you visit the lab, when you touch, when you want to touch, you use the high, costly equipment. There will be ESD probe will be there, blue in color. Okay, blue in color will be there, right? So ESD probes. So that ESD probe blue in color, they will ask you to wear in the wrist. Okay, why they are asking you to wear in the wrist? Because see, your body have some kind of voltage in it. Okay, so some kind of voltage in it. So what happens is when you, for example, you can do in this experiment in your home itself. So when you rub your hair with the comb, very extensively, and then you just keep it aside, and then it will absorb some kind of metals or any metallic components. Okay, metallic particles. Okay, it will rub. If you rub your comb in your head, and then you can see that so many some dusts are getting absorbed by your comb. Why? Because some of the charges are transferred to your comb, and that is attracting the some of the dusts, or it can be any dielectric particles or anything. Okay, sorry, metal particles. Okay, so and another example is that when you are walking in during daytime, right? When you go out and come back, let your father or mother will say that please have water. Why they are saying? Because a lot of ionization has happened in your body, hence it is some kind of charges could have been generated. So you are calming down through the by adding your by drinking water. Okay, so when you, for example, when you are when you are roaming outside during the daytime and come back, and you might be when you touch other people, then they may feel some shock. That I have experienced, right? So when I walk, if I'm not drinking enough water, that time when I was in Saudi Arabia, there will be 40 plus degrees Celsius. So that time and all, when I don't when I don't have enough water, then what happens is when I touch someone, then they will feel shock, because accumulated charges are excessive charges are coming out, and it will discharge through. It will try to discharge when it find a low resistance path, right? That is the principle, right? So the current flow will find a low resistance path, then it will start discharging, right? So it will always try to find a low resistance path to discharge, right? So when you, for example, with that scenario, when you touch any equipment, what happens is that it may get it may get spoiled also. That is called as electrostatic discharge. Okay, so you can see that junction, what it can cause. For example, that's why they always ask you to say, for example, use wrist watches, wrist ESD discharge probe. So what happens is when you connect that with your wrist, so all the accumulated charges will get discharged through that, because that will be connected to the ground of the equipment. So that's why they ask you to connect the wrist probes. Okay, and when you visit the hospital, they will be having they will wear the wrist ESD probes, and they will operate the equipment. when in good hospital. Okay, there it can cause hard failures like a junction burnout also can happen. Okay, icy metal burnout, a dielectric breakdown can happen, and some of the software needs, some of the logic errors, and I think you might have faced these issues. For example, when you operate, touch the keyboard, right? Some of the time, Windows shows some error, so that might be due to this ESD problem also. Okay, suddenly, what happens is you suddenly shut down and restart. So that may be due to this, probably. Okay. Now, so far we have seen what we have seen. Let me summarize, for 2 minutes, and then we will start. Okay. So far we have seen that what are all what are all scenarios, why we want to study this subject, and what is the significance of this subject EMI EMC, and what are all different scenarios where we can see these EMI EMC problems, and what are all sources of EMI EMC, who are all the receptors, and what are all different types of EMI EMC, and what are all mode or types it can categorized, how it is categorized, and what are all different kind of emission types, and what is significance of each one of them, and who are all the victims, who are all the sources, and the coupling paths, and many more we have studied. Now we'll see EMI EMC standard. So before we start, I should spend some 1 minute on this. Why? Because see, the any standard that evolves when there is a need, right? So, for example, during World War II, they found that okay, there are unintentional emissions are happening. But why the standards are required? Because see, I am inventing some equipment. I cannot go and directly sell my equipment in the market because so I may not be compliant with all the required tests. So I might not have done all the required tests that is required, very much required to sell your product in your particular country. For example, US is very stringent because in India earlier they used to sell like anything. That's why it's all China phones came in. Okay, but now they are also posing some kind of stringent conditions. Okay, when you open your mobile, please press star #07 hash. When you have a smartphone, star, or it's a normal phone also, star #07 hash. You could see that SAR value is mentioned there. Okay, SAR value. So similarly, so many stringent measurements are going on. When you want to, measurement has to happen before you sell your product. Okay, so why, where does this standard come into picture? Because see, I'm from we are from India, so we won't we create our own product. We do some kind of testing and we will start. We cannot start selling product. And for example, we have certain environment. We have a certain different environment. Okay, where some kind of test to be done. Okay, there are some other countries like Europe and other places where population density is very low. Okay, so there some kind of test is required. And similarly, in the Saudi Arabia and all, the population density is extremely low. Okay, you will see so many empty places. There some kind of test is required. So that's why standard organization will come into picture. Then say that no, if you want to sell your product, for example, in US, okay, you have to comply with the FCC standards, IEC standards, EN standards, CISPR MIL standards, so many standards. Okay, so why they are saying? So standards is after all is test procedure. That's all. Limits and test procedure is the standard. So what is your equipment? Okay, so how you have to test? What is the limit? That's what a standard dictates. What a standard dictates? So what is your equipment device? Why, which class it falls under? So if it about which class it falls under, what test you have to do, and how you have to do, what sort of setup you have to use, and what sort of limits. For example, what sort of limit you have to imply. For example, you have to conformance, or you have to compliant. Okay, so that is where that is what is standard dictates. Okay, and so in India, a standardization of testing, quality certification (STQC) is there. When you go to when you are in Chennai, when you go to SRP tools, there is one building called ETDC. SRP tools. So part of that, STQC is there. You could see that there only they will get an EMIMC certification. So there are some other labs are available. Those give EMS certification following certain standards. For example, if you are manufacturing your product for military application, they will say that you can go approach any lab. For example, Samir is one of the lab, and HCL and Wipro and many companies are having their own labs. So if you go and say that I want to sell my product in the for example military application, then they will tell you your product has to be which application in the military. So then they will tell you your product has to be comply with the this MIL standard, for example MILS 4621 standard. Okay, for example or your customer will say if your product is compliant to MILS 461 standard, CISPR standard or FCC standard, then I will take your product. Then what I have to do, I have to take my product to the labs where this MIL standard or FCC standards are followed. Okay, there only I can go. I cannot just go and get into the lab and then say please test my product for MIL standard, FCC standard, etc. No, all the labs will not have all these kind of test environments. So they, for example, Samir, I think they support many standards, FCC or MIL standard, but I'm not sure. But some labs will support FCC standards, some lab will support MIL standards, some lab will support European standards and other things. Okay, so that's why you have to go to many labs, get your product certified when you want to sell your product to the different, especially defense applications. You have to run for many labs and get it certified. So the FCC, US military, European Union, Radio Telecommunication Commission, aeronautics, so many more standards are there. RED is there. So many standards are there. Each regulatory body is there. Each countries will have their own standardizing organization. If you want, for example, China will have a different standardizing organization. If you want to sell your product in the China, then you have to comply with that standard. Okay. So some of the standard, it will not be completely new. What they will do on top of FCC, they will put some stringent conditions. For example, FCC, you have to follow FCC and also my standard. For example, some stringent conditions. If FCC says, for example, minus 34 dBm emission is fine, but they will say, no. In my country, I want minus 48 dBm emission, like that. Those are some kind of stringent condition they will impose. Okay, but in India, it's still evolving. Okay, and now there so many actions are happened. Taken in the year 2013, I believe. So many standardization bodies under Manmohan Singh period. So many initiatives have happened. I believe, because I can see that in the open sources. Now, once a standard is military standard, for example, let's go through just scan through some of the standards and what they imply. So MIL standard, you have that, for example, you can see that MOS 61E. It has for conducted and radiated tests is there. It will also support emission and susceptibility. You can see that CE 101, which means conducted emission 101. So which is for power leads. So okay, 30 hertz to the 10 kilohertz it has to operate. So it is clearly defined in that CE 10. For example, if you are manufacturing power leads, okay, then you have to follow CE 101. So you have to test your power leads in this and the frequency range 30 hertz to 10 kilohertz. So in this spec, in this specification, you will see the setup, measurement setup also. How you have to set up, how you have to place your DUT device under test, how you have to place your antenna, how you have to manage your setup, what's the environment you have to follow. Everything will be there. Okay, and CE10, similarly CE102, CE106 for antenna terminal, so on and so on. Similarly, susceptibility, conducted susceptibility. That's why it is CS 101, 103, and so on. Okay. Similarly, radiated. You can see the radiated emission. That's why it is RE101. Magnetic field testing. Okay, if your equipment, may cause magnetic field testing, then for example, you have to measure 30 hertz. So many things are okay. For example, RE103 dictates the antenna spurious and harmonic outputs. Because antenna will have several intermodulation products and spurious emissions, okay, due to the environment and also the co-located antennas. Many bands are operating, for example, multi-band antenna. For example, nowadays, if you see that, the LTE networks, for example, 2G Airtel networks. There, one antenna will have antennas for 2G, antennas for 3G, antennas for 4G, MIMO. All the configuration will be there. So there you will see this kind of issues like spurious intermodulation products, harmonics outputs that will in turn causes intermodulations and many things. Okay, and similarly for radiator susceptibility RS101 magnetic field and so on. Okay, similarly, you can see that so this is the consolidated version. Okay, now we'll see LFCC. Sometime before I was mentioning that you can see that, so it will classify the devices. Okay, class A, class B. Okay, so, so then you will see, you can narrow down your testing effort, because class A is non-residential. It's especially for in USA, it is especially in Europe, it is industrial. So class B residential, and residential or commercial. Okay, so for example, if you are manufacturing your mobile, so this will fall under commercial. Okay, so the class B. Okay, and class A device, it is not residential. So for some kind of industrial equipments and so on, that has, for example, thermal power plants equipment and many equipments. Okay, so he will give me for class B, I have to follow this kind of signal levels. You can see that. See, I can radiate only, see, you can see 50 microvolt. So I can radiate only 50 microvolt. My equipment, if my device has to radiate maximum of 50 microvolt, otherwise dB microvolt. Otherwise, my device will not be certified. Okay, so this is the limit they impose. For class A, it is different. Okay, so minus 80 dB microvolt. Okay, so this is how they put stringent conditions. Similarly, for say radiator conductor emission, this is for European. This is the FCC standard. You can see that. So class B, they have put for example minus 40 dB microvolt, and for class A it is 50 around 45 dB microvolt. So similarly here, each for example class A, it can operate for 10 meters. Okay, 10 meters. What should be the limit? So you can see that conductor radiator, general radiator emission. Similarly for conductor emission also, it is dictated. You can go through the FCC website and then you will come to know these things. Okay, FCC or all these websites, standardizing body websites. So for class A, how they will measure. So in radiator emission measurement that I will discuss later, 3 meter and 10 meter measurements are there. So if your device is residential one, then you have to obviously do the 3 meter measurement, because residential means your device will be close enough, right? That's why they are doing 3 meter. They are measuring at 3 meter distance. But class A, why they are measuring 10 meter in industrial applications, right? So it's fine. 10 meters is also fine, because you can have some kind of leverage. Okay. So how you have to measure? What tolerance limit? For example, 30 to 80 megahertz. What is the tolerance limit? Similarly, for above 960 megahertz, what is the tolerance limit? All the limits will be specified. That's what I was telling. So the standards will be dictating. So what is your devices? What is application of device? Based on that, it will dictate you how you have to measure, where you have to measure, and what sort of test setup you have to follow, what sort of equipment you have to use, what sort of limits you have to your device has to comply. Everything it will dictate. Okay. Similarly, other standards like EN standard electrostatic discharge, it will dictate. So if you go and read this document, I think it may not be available freely. Okay, read this document. The end-to-end discussion will be there. What is the electrostatic discharge? How it happens? How we can test in emulate in our environment? How we can emulate the scenario. For example, in lab you will not see practical real-time things, right? You have to emulate the scenario, right? So how you can emulate the scenarios? For example, what equipment you have to use, how you have to use, what sort of measurement setup you have to follow, and how you at what environment you have to test. So all the things will be there. So complete end-to-end definitions, right from definitions and test setup, limits, everything will be there. So all this will be there. Okay. Similarly, the other standards also. Now, okay. we are getting into the important part. Like earlier and all, you will manufacture your device and then go and test your device for the EMC compliance, EMI compliance. Okay, though you do many measurements before you go for EMI compliance. For example, if a product is failing during the EMI compliance, what happens is your whole efforts are wasted, right? Whole efforts are wasted. Hence, so that's why this simulation tools come up. And now what you can do is, in the simulation tool itself, doing the design itself. So you do design and then you simulate it, and then you also impose some kind of stringent conditions, and you can see that you can sense what all EMI interferences are happening. For example, in your device level, for example, device level, module level, trace level, and interconnect level, and vias level, layer level, many levels you could analyze. That is called as signal integrity problems. Okay, signal integrity. There are one of the application subject is signal integrity, where what they will do, how signals are handled at each stage. Okay, so whether it is intentional or unintentional signals are coming, and how the crosstalks are happening. So how your board quality is causing the unintentional crosstalks or signal integrity problems. And for example, how each transmission line is behaving, how vias are behaving, and how in signal integrity what you will do, you will model it, right? You will model it, and then you will start doing the mitigation. So now come back to the simulation. So simulation will help you, product life cycle. Okay, so product life cycle, earlier what they will do, they will design the product and then manufacture it, the do functional testing and module by module testing. All the testing will be done. Okay, functional module by module testing, which means, for example, your mobile is there. Mobile has antenna, RF modules, mixers, local oscillators, and PCB boards. Okay, and processor, and so on. Okay, what they will do, the processor might be from some vendor. Okay, they could have tested properly. Okay, and antenna will be from some vendor. Okay, that could have done testing, and the mixers will be from some vendor, and so on. Okay, now most of the mobile handset manufacturer, they are just assembling only. They will give them design and then layout, then they will procure the document components, and then they will assemble it. That's all. That's what happening. Okay, no company will design completely. Okay, it is not possible at all. Okay, for a company to design complete mobile, because they will procure for example, you could have heard Apple and Samsung dispute, because Apple was buying the Samsung chipsets, right? So similarly, Qualcomm chipsets is being used in many of the devices. Now MediaTek is coming in aggressively. Okay, so most of the modules and components are procured from many vendors. So the vendors will test their product as individually. Okay, it will be performing very well. Okay, now you are assembled everything. Now you will do functional testing. Okay, and system level testing and functional testing. Then you will find some kind of bug. Okay, any issues. Then you will go to the vendor. No, boss, your antenna is not working properly. Your mixer is not working properly. They will again fix it. Again, you apply the fix to that system module. Then again do the testing. This will go on until the functional testers pass. Okay, then once you are done with the functional testing, everything, then you will go for compliance testing. Okay, that compliance is couple compliance testing is there. For example, 3GPP has some compliance testing, EMI/EMC testing, so on and so on. So when you go there, they will also tell you, no, boss, you are so many unintentional interferences are coming, so go and correct it. Okay, they will not tell you some labs will tell you possible mitigation techniques also. They will tell you where exactly the emission is coming, which component is causing the emission. Okay, some labs may not tell you, because those who are expert in that, signal integrity engineer, power integrity engineer, you might have seen in the job openings also, signal integrity engineer, power integrity engineers, system engineers, many are there, right? So what is their job? Their job is to find, okay, where exactly this EMI is coming. electromagnetic interference, unwanted interference is coming, and which component is causing that. That they will identify and give you the suggestion. For that, you have to pay much. You have to pay heavily, right? So just for doing testing, it will not cost you much. But for consultation, for example, which component is faulty, which component, that consultation, the pay will be very much. Okay, so then you have to go back to the vendors and say, no, boss, your equipment is causing this problem. Please correct it. Then they will again correct it. Then again you assemble it and then go for testing, EMI/EMC testing. Okay, again it will go on, till your device is compliant. So this will take a lot of time, right? So that's why now the people are come up with. So now they will get the design from all these vendors and then compile it. Okay, and also UE vendors also, for example, the device vendors also, they design their own design, and then they will do simulation in the EM tools, EM CAD tools, and everything. Then they will try to find out through simulation itself. Okay, so for example, simulation, you can send the signal, or from the one point to the other. You can give the input signal and then see how it behaving. Each component is behaving in the simulation itself. So in the simulation itself, most of the mitigation will be taken place. Okay, when you go for EMI/EMC compliance certification, any certification, then you will because you have you know the problem, where exactly the problem is. You have already resolved most of the problem, all the problems. Okay, now when you go, so now the product life cycle time is very much reduced. That's why the simulation tool is very much useful. Okay, so the here simulation tool is doing a very good benefit, because in terms of time, in terms of cost, because earlier time you have to fabricate several times, right, and assemble it, and several costs are there, right? So here consultation cost also available, testing cost is also available. So all the put together, it will be cost you too much, right? So now the simulation is helping you to reduce your product life cycle time, and also the very much cost. Okay, and your manpower also you are reducing, therefore the cost. Okay, so that's why the simulation tools helping us in that place. Only simulation tool is helping us. Okay, and testing, okay, obviously. Okay, now we'll see. So there are a number of simulation softwares are available. For example, HFSS, CSC Micro Studio, sorry, not studies, it's studio, I'm sorry, Altair Fico, LabVIEW, Cadence Console, multiplexes, and many softwares are available nowadays. Okay, you could see that, you can see that, how the signal integrity problems are identified. See, you are sending some signals, and then you identify where and all you are getting emissions in the board level. And for example, you can see here, they have simulated the whole car with the entire system. Okay, so then they will observe that, they will how cable is creating EMI/EMC problems, how board is creating EMI/EMC problems, how transmission, electronic transmission, for example, your power steering is there, several cruise control mechanism is there. So how it is creating, several antennas are there, and several other components are there. For example, wipers and many things are there. How it is creating EMI/EMC. So all will be tested, and also you will intentionally create some kind of interferences through for example, some kind of equivalent circuits. For example, you want to create some kind of intentional interference also, because we have to check EMI/EMC susceptible, EMC also, right? Susceptibility also, right? So what you will do, you will create the intentionally the for example, whatever FCC has imposed, you will create that interferences in the circuit level, and then give it to that, and then analyze the car performance also, and board performance also. All this can be done with this. And testing solutions, I think you could have seen several testing solution vendors, and Antutu and Rhodes Squares and Keysight, especially Keysight has several options. And Antutu, Tektronix, they are the number one in the oscilloscopes. Keysight is number one in the number two in the oscilloscopes, and many other equipments. So Keysight has several solutions, and Antutu and Rhodes Squares and many more. Okay, so they give you testing solutions, right? Okay, so once you are simulating, then what you will do, you have to test your in simulation itself, you will solve most of the problems, right? EMI/EMC problems or signal integrity problems. Then you will finally, make a prototype ready. Then you will go for testing. Okay, for which we need a testing solutions, right? So these are all the vendors who provide testing solutions. Okay, now as I mentioned before, the standard dictates you what all equipments you want, what all components you need. Okay, during the testing. Okay, some of them are, for example, antennas, emission systems, immunity systems, power line filters, near field probes, current probes, LISN. We'll see later. Line impedance stabilization network. Why it is required? We will see. Signal generators, because we want to create. For example, we have to emulate this scenario, right? For example, I want to create emission of, for example, some power level and some frequency. So I want to create, right? For which I need signal generators. Spectrum analyzer, I have to see the what is the spectrum of emissions, right? For example, in which frequency I'm getting emissions, and what all band I'm getting emissions. All those things can be analyzed using spectrum analyzer and RF filters, power filters. So these are all to be used in doing the measurements. Pre-amplifiers, right? So for example, my EMI signals may be weak, okay, during the estate. So I have to amplify and see what sort of signal. I have to decode and see what sort of signal is that. And power amplifiers, right? So when I want to radiate intentionally emulate the signals, then I need power amplifiers to have a good amount of low noise amplifiers, absorbing clamps, tripods, and positioner, and whole chambers, anechoic chambers. So many measurement setups are there. For example, TEM waveguide measurement setup, and anechoic chambers. So many things are there. Okay. Now, so when you do conducted emission, see there you have, as I mentioned sometime before, we have conducted emission and radiated emission, right? So conducted emission will have some kind of setup. So now let's see, radiated emission setup. So we'll have so many components, right? So that's why first we will see radiated emission setup components. Okay, as you mentioned sometime before, there are antennas, right? So what are antennas are used in the EMI/EMC testing? EMI/EMC testing, so you have loop antennas that operates from 20 hertz to 30 megahertz, rod or monopole antennas 30 megahertz to 30 hertz to 50 megahertz. It is tunable also, okay. And dipole antenna 30 megahertz to, similarly biconical antenna, it's a very broadband 200 megahertz to 300 megahertz. See, you might have studied patch antennas. You can't use here because even low this much frequency, lower frequency, right? It will be of huge size. So only biconical can help us. And biconical, log periodic hybrid, and conical spiral for circularly log hybrid, and horn antennas and regional antenna. These two are very much used. In the EMI/EMC, the standard gain horns are very much used, and biconical, and these are all the two antennas, or most of the labs will have to use. Okay. And so the frequency range also, you can see that. Okay, so the accordingly frequency ranges are there. And here I want to mention one point here, that you will be studying the horn antenna. So horn antenna, when you use standard gain horn, you have to use multiple antennas for the whole frequency band. So instead, what we can do is we can use rigid horn antennas. So that will operate in a very wide frequency range, but with a certain power level. Okay. Now let's see radiated emission testing. Okay. So once again. Okay, so radiated emission setup. Okay, so you can see that you have a probe here, you have equipment here to radiate. Okay, sorry, this will radiate, and then you will listen to this through this probe, and these are all the test setups. You will measure the how radiation, what all frequencies it radiating. Okay, next is this is conducted emission setup, where what you will do, you will connect your test receiver, and then you will connect it through line impedance stabilization network. LISN means line impedance stabilization network, which means, so you see, you have to the interference, you have to pump the interference to the in a matched manner, right? So if you are not matching properly, then interference will come back, right? So that's why you have to use line impedance stabilization network to ensure the matching during the setup. Okay. So this is how they will connect, through wires and then test it, test the DUT. And the EMI, diagnostic. So using probes, they test the UUTs. This is very much used in the signal integrity problems. Okay. Now ESD setup, how they will do? So they will create, some kind of charges here through probes, and then they will place it on the equipment and test it, how it is behaving. So this is the probe. Okay. Through probe, they will create some kind of charges, artificial charges, artificially. Then they will, then they will. Hit on the equipment, touch the equipment, and then see how equipment is behaving. Now, system and module level testing. So you can see that so many modules are there. All the modules are, conducted emission testing is done, and you can see that radiated emission. You can see that this is the monopole. Okay, this is the equipment. They are doing, module level, module by module testing, and you can see that, susceptibility. How susceptibility is. This is the equipment. They are connecting. They are intentionally giving some kind of noises. How much it is susceptible. To beyond certain level, it will malfunction. Right. That is the limit of the equipment susceptibility. And similarly, radiator susceptibility. You can see that you have equipment. You are transmitting radiating through horn antenna, and you are measuring the susceptibility. Next is platform level testing. You can see that they will, for example, you have a fighter jet. All the components are put inside, and then see how it is behaving. You will create intentionally. You will listen to the emission, or you will transmit emission intentionally and see the performance of the device in the platform. Platform means, I mean to say, for example, some radar component you have designed, you put place in the aircraft and then test it. Similarly, in the bus, they test it. Okay. Now, mitigation techniques are, grounding is there, and I think, time is up. I know I have to rush through. Single point grounding is there, where you will have, series connection, you will have parallel connection, you have a common ground. So all the equipments are connected serially or parallelly. Parallel means, each equipment will be connected individually. Multi-point means, see, this will have one ground connection. This will have also multi-point and multiple points. Here are the same point is connected. Here multiple points are connected. Okay, and hybrid means, you have, for example, this is capacitor. See here, this is series, and a single point and multi-point can be achieved here. Okay, through this hybrid technique. How? So when you have low frequency, when you are operating in low frequency, I think capacitor will be J omega. Okay, low frequency means it will be open circuit, right? So what happens is it will act as a single point grounding. Okay, when you are operating in high frequency, then capacitor will become short circuit. So it will be acting as a multi-point grounding. Okay. So similarly, for inductor, when you are operating in low frequency, it will act as a multi-point grounding, and when you are operating in higher frequency, it will act as a single point grounding. So this is floating grounding. Floating grounding. You can see that you have safety ground and also the signal ground. Okay. So shielding, several mechanisms are. So your cable shielding, this kind of shielding you might have seen. Whatever cables you are seeing, the outer are shielded. Okay, and these are some kind of shielding you might have seen in the factory or many places. So you can see that either you have to shield your culprit, or you have to shield the victims. So whether you have to shield the culprit who is emitting the radiation, or you have to shield the victims. This is how you have to do the mitigation techniques. And these are all some of the design approach. You can see that system device specifications, generate EMIC control plan, mechanical design. So it's because mechanical also design we have right, chassis and enclosure, bonding, grounding, and all will be done by mechanical. Electrical team has to plan for a power budget and hardware positioning and a layout and panel board design, everything. System design. So we'll have signal distribution, power distribution, all will have. So this will be the EMI design approach. Okay. So now let us conclude. So far we have seen EMI EMC sources and types, and EMI coupling mechanisms, several coupling mechanisms, and some of the standards, how they are standard, how are their dictates, simulation tools and test setups, and some of the protection techniques. So thank you very much for your time, valuable time. So if you have any questions, I will be more than happy to take up the questions. I'm sorry if I'm late.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Dear students, if you are having any doubt means you can ask now. Students,
I assume that you are either you understood or completely not understood anything.
always like this only, sir. Okay, students, let's conclude the session. Sir, it's really a wonderful session which covers from basics to the advanced topics and the various techniques used to mitigate the EMC problems and all. And you also mentioned the different standards and the different equipment utilized for the testing. And I hope the students have some interest on EMC, and definitely they will utilize the huge demand in the market. Nowadays,
Correct.
almost all company are in shortage of EMC engineers. Yeah. Now they will find some interest in the subject, and I hope they will go for this industry.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, every day you can see so many vacancies for EMC engineers, cyber engineers. Okay. So thank you, sir, for the opportunity, Professor.
Thank you.
Hendrida,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
now,
very much.
One request.
Yeah.
Sir, you just close your screen, and dear students, all of you please turn on your camera so that let's take a photograph for this session.
1 minute. Actually.
Okay. All of you please turn on your camera so that let's take a photograph, visual photograph.
Yeah. all are in virtual now.
Yeah. Students. Yeah.
Sir, I lost my power and I have.
Okay, Srikar. Others, please. Okay, others, please. Okay, Sairam, Trish, Pratik. Yeah, all of you, please turn on your camera. Okay, thank you all. Thank you so much for attending this wonderful session. Let's meet in the class again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Let's see later, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.